here at Sunbelt Media Days talking to Georgia Southern head coach Clay Helton. Clay Helton, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So starting out this year, you're coming off of an 8-5 season. It was after 2 years where you won 6 games, made a bowl, but maybe the last piece hadn't clicked into place. What do you think was the difference last year, if there was one, of just what made get over that first hurdle?
Yeah, it's really been a 3-year project of building a football team. You know, we decided to go through the high school ranks. You know, you talk about the strength of recruiting in the state of Georgia and the attached states. We really built it from young men coming out of high school and developing them. And, you know, I thought it was ultra important in year one to be able to make a postseason game and to be able to have some really highlights of that year. You know, I remember Kyle Van Treese, you know, winning a big game at Nebraska, having a top 25 win against JMU, and, you know, having the opportunity to beat our arch rivals in App State in double overtime to go to postseason. That really sparked recruiting for us, you know, and really showed a sense of belief within our recruiting area that, hey, this is going to be something different, this is going to be pretty special. And so we've built on that, and every year I think we've gotten better. Last year we finished second in the East. We got a pit in our stomach because we know we were one play away from playing in that game, and that makes for a hungry football team. You know, we have a team that has not had a lot of attrition, a lot of third, fourth, fifth year guys that are coming back and being a part of this, and they got a chip on their shoulder, and they're hungry to go play for a championship.
One person who is also part of the retention, a rarity in these days, sometimes college football, your quarterback, J.C. French, had a good season last year, but what's your message been this year to him as far as what the next step is, what he needs to do over this offseason or now going into fall camp?
Yeah, I love the sense of urgency that he's had, you know, in this offseason. You know, we walked out of a bowl game, losing a close bowl game, and we had some turnovers in that game, and I'll never forget him coming right up to me in the tunnel saying, "Coach, that'll never happen again as long as we're together." And he's taken that sense of urgency from literally the day after until right now. You know, he's in the best shape of his life right now. Lost about 8% body fat. You know, he is ready to go take us to the next step, and that next step is getting that last play and getting to that championship game. That's the standard at Georgia Southern. That's always the expectation for us, and you know, he's ready to go lead this football team.
You talk about it being the standard and it being the next step and everything. Is there a different pep in people's step around the building, or has that expectation always been there? Does this year feel different heading into the year?
Yeah, you know, there's a chip. I think that's why you saw too. This team is really close. It's a great locker room, has tremendous chemistry, and they got a chip on their shoulder. And I've always thought hungry teams play better, you know, and they're hungry. They knew how close we were last year. We knew as Marshall went on that run, we had to do the same thing. And we were 3-1 in November. We lost the game at Troy, and that cost us. And we own that, and it's been in our pit of our stomach, you know, through the entire offseason. And now having the opportunity, you know, to get back into this year with the same guys, a large part of the same guys, that helps. You know, it helps produce a team that has chemistry and is ready to go compete.
And you talk about competing. It's a hard league to win. It's a hard division to win. I guess what's the challenge of playing in the Sunbelt East, where there's going to be good teams and you might not even know who they are at the start of the year. There's going to be someone who emerges.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you look over just my 3-year period of time. You know, you're talking about 27 bowl teams. That's the highest in all group of 6. You're talking about 11, you know, Power 4 wins over the last 3 years I've been here. You know, it's a league from top to bottom that if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get your butt beat. And it's just every team has the ability to win a big game. The majority of our league has been in the postseason. 2 years ago was 12 football teams, which was the most in college football. You know, so you have to be able to play at a very high level, week in and week out. They're very tough places to play, which I think is going to be, you know, kind of it will be the story of our year, whether it's successful or unsuccessful, is how we react on the road. You know, we have to go to James Madison, to App State. You know, got to go to Marshall and to Arkansas State. Those are 4 hard places to play in the conference, and so, you know, I think that road is going to be the make or break for us this year.
And I know coaches never want to talk about anything but the next game, but I guess I hope you'll forgive me for asking about the first two in a pair because they're kind of related. You're going to Fresno, you're going to USC. What are the extra challenges of prepping for 2 long plane flights beginning of the year and making sure that doesn't become an extra loss down the road because it's a lot of travel, switching time zones, all of that?
Yeah, so we were a little proactive, and I thank our administration. One, what an awesome opportunity. I'll have some kids that have never been on a plane before. We're going to go out to California, which is the first time in the history of our school, first time to play a team from California. And so we're going to get the opportunity to play a really good Fresno State team. It's a lot like Georgia Southern, has a long tradition of history and success. And then, play at USC. We're actually going to stay. We're not going to come back to Georgia. We're going to get to stay there, train at the Dallas Cowboys training facility in Oxnard that they're just coming off their summer training camp. We'll stay there for the week and then go to the Coliseum, which is an unbelievable place of history. I can't wait for the guys to be able to play in that venue against a great team like USC. So we look at it as an opportunity and a way to really prepare for a very hard league. Sometimes you got to put yourself in the fire to be able to prepare for your league games. And so we get that opportunity to go play 2 really good teams out west.
And then the last thing is something I'm asking all the coaches I'm speaking to today. A piece of advice you've received over your career that's made you a better football coach?
Oh, what a great question that is. I tell you, I've always believed we're in the trust relationship business. And I'm very fortunate because my dad is still alive, still coaches me every day, has a long history in the coaching profession, both NFL and college. And he always reminded me, remember, we're in the trust relationship business. You can coach them really hard, but make sure that you love them really hard too, and that builds that trust. And be honest with them, always put their care and concern first. And when you're on the field, give them every ounce of energy that you got to make them better. And when you do that, that builds those relationships, it builds the trust. And I think that's what coaches have to do. Have a care and concern off the field just as much as you have on the field, in their lives, in their academic life, their social life, their spiritual life, and that builds relationships and that builds strength. And so that's the best advice I've ever been given. My dad was my hero and my mentor and has always coached me, and it's best advice. It's something I've leaned on my career.
Coach Helton, thanks for the time. Best luck this season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.